So for those who've been following on my Twitter, recently Takara Tomy has uploaded on their website the very final chapter of the Transformers Legends manga comic by Sakamoto. Now, this is the final conclusion and the end of the 5-year long run of the Legends comics that were packed in with a lot of the Transformers Legends toys, as well as what was posted on the Takara Tomy website of supplemental material. This was an amazing series that I've brought up many times on the podcast. One of these kind of Transformer series is to fill in the gaps of plot holes throughout all of Generation 1's history, and of course all the other Transformer series that came afterwards, to try to make sense of continuity. Sakamoto being a humongous Transformer fan, and just totally barking up the kind of tree that I love all the time. Anyone that was following on Twitter saw my huge thank you to him and the nice beautiful epilogue that is what we're going to discuss today. Now, this final comic really is just a final conclusion to not only just the Transformers Legends comic, but still gives us more little fill-ins of holes of story for a lot of other characters from a lot of other universes in typical Sakamoto fashion, and the appearance of some characters that we haven't seen in quite a few years. That being said, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to go through each page. There's 18 pages. It won't be too long, but I'll go through all 18 pages and all the little fan wank tidbits and everything that's going on page to page in relation to this. So I'm just going to crack it open and we'll go through this together for the final epilogue, which, by the way, epilogue is spelled incorrectly there, but Japan. So on the first page, we have showing the conclusion pretty much of what happened with Diatlas and Big Powered, where they bisected or they cut in half Star Giant, which again is all a reference to the end of the Battlestar's Return of Star Convoy story. So pretty much we begin the manga with the ending of that story and the killing of Dark Nova, aka Star Giant, and which was pretty much the fusion of G1 Megatron or Super Megatron that we saw from the previous one. So we just have all the survivors, and we have Convoy, aka Optimus Prime, there, assuring them that, even though G1 Megatron died, he died, wishing the best for the Legends world. Now, for people who are kind of confused, the way that the Beast Wars characters are depicted here, they're done in a chibi style because Beast Wars was done in a very comical kind of way, the dub in Japan. So that's kind of why they have that kind of look there. Let's jump to the second page. So the second page, again, it gives more connections of what's going on in terms of Transformers continuity. So we have some cameos here of some current Siege toys, in that of Blowpipe and one of Hot Rod's Target Masters in Firebolt. So we get some Siege toys that show up here, so that's pretty cool. We also see Trigger Happy from the Titans Return line. So a lot of little nice cameos here, including Hooligan from G2, showing all that kind of stuff there. Pretty awesome. Not much really going on this page too much, just kind of like establishing that now the pieces is come to be, and kind of tying into, they're talking about like the Gaia energy, which we know, of course, also is related to a certain someone by the name of Unicron, but with the Alchemist energy. And we also get to see Chip Chase that we haven't seen in a very long time. You see him in the bottom left panel there. He's kind of showing up there, and he's also accompanied by another individual that we haven't seen in a long time. Just want to point out also the cool little banners of Blasters First and all kinds of cute little stuff that's going on in the background. If you look carefully, you could also see Spike. You could see Carly. They're very tiny, but they're there if you zoom in. And of course, what leads to also the explanation of why Chip Chase is there and what's being created, which is Chip Chase along with Atari from Kiss Play, which we haven't seen, since like Kiss Play ended in 2007. So this character hasn't been around for more than 10 years, 12 years pretty much. And Atari along with Chip Chase, together they designed pretty much what we know today in Beast Wars 2nd as Artemis and Moon. And so they're going to be these two protectors of their Gaia project, which is going to be the future of Earth, and all really, really, really cool stuff there. So it's just cool to kind of get the origin story of Moon and Artemis, and to know where they came from, and to know that it comes from Atari, who's much older now. This is a huge time jump. Same thing, Chip Chase is now an old man also at this point. You can even see Spike also with the gray hair going all silver there. This is clearly years and years and years later. Then we get to obviously like the Decepticon stuff. Not much really going on here that's worth mentioning. You have Kazudan that shows up, and it's just they're talking about Planet Zone. You get some nice shots of Big Powered there. Not much really worth mentioning. What's cool is on the next page, we see Starsaber. He's recuperating from the last battle. He's all busted up, and he's actually in the chamber that was the same reparation chamber that was used to repair Ginrai when he was damaged in Transformer Victory. So it's the same kind of like, I don't know, body cast chamber. What's cool about the next page after that is we learn about kind of the origin of the Maximals and the Predacons. And this one's really, really cool because essentially these Microns here, because they were exposed to Beast Power, which is from the planet Beast, they become the first versions of that of the Maximals and the Predacons. And by the way, these Microns are based off of the Micron Booster, I think it was Volume 4 pack, which came out many years ago. So it's pretty cool that, you know, these Micron boosters that had no character development really for the longest time now have some kind of origin story. And so now these guys are going to have some kind of, I guess they'll have an uptick in demand because these are the beginning of the Beast era. They're the prototypes, if you will, to the Maximals and the Predacons. And no surprise that something that's based in microns, which are supposed to be those, you know, Micromaster, smaller kind of price point, and that's what Beast Wars are. They're supposed to be, the Maximals and Predacons are way smaller than Autobots and Decepticons. It's a good fit, even though, you know, like when you put these Microns next to your other Beast Wars toys, they're going to be small. But the in-continuity explanation for it makes a lot of sense, and I really dig that. We then get to the next one. Now we're talking about Zone Base, Zodiac Energy, and all that stuff. And we also get to see Botanica. Again, keep in mind, Botanica's done in that Transformers Legends style for all the Beast era kind of stuff. So there's Botanica with Rat Traps. They're still in love. They're still together. And it's a lot of talk about the Zodiac Energy and giving birth to a new planet and a new dimension and stuff like that, using, again, with White Lio, a.k.a. Pirate Lio from Battle Beasts. So that's all kind of cool. Just jumping through the pages here. Now, here's one that's really cool. When we get to the pages that have DevCon and, of course, the G2 Dreadwing and Smokescreen. Really cool continuity note here. I don't know if it's ever been established before, not to my knowledge. So DevCon is talking to Dreadwing and Smokescreen, and DevCon says, you know, you could join us many years ago, Smokescreen. You know, we worked together, and you were an Autobot. And this is the first time it's ever been established that the G2 Smokescreen toy is actually the G1 Smokescreen Autobot character. For the longest time, we always just assumed G2 Smokescreen, the toy, was just, you know, typical Hasbro trying to keep the trademarks for certain character names. So it's like, oh, hey, here's this, you know, hey, here's this jet. Why don't we just call it Smokescreen and that'll be it? And we never really made that connection. And it's cool because it's a throwback to the old episode, The God Gambit, with DevCon, where him and G1 Smokescreen from the old G1 episode were together. So we get this establishment that this jet, this G2 jet toy that was called Smokescreen, is actually a continuation of the story of that Generation 1 character. And so that's pretty cool. And Lord knows we're going to have to update some databases now, establishing that as a Smokescreen toy in that lineage. We then jump forward to now the beat-up, damaged Super Megatron and how he's being repaired by the Legends people. And they take him from his Super Megatron body to now of one that is based off of his Masterpiece toy, so pretty much Generation 1 Megatron. And so, he was the mayor of their town, so they're happy that he's back and they're celebrating. And then they all go to see the Bumblebee movie, which they say is very good. And then he says he has to go, because he has much he still has to do. And I'm just jumping through the pages here. And so it's just a lot of them just kind of sad that he's leaving and everything. But he says, don't worry, one day I'll be back. And, they're all just saying goodbye, Megatron. A lot of cool stuff in the background, little signs and stuff to Tommy, Denki. You see some cool characters in the background there, too. Well, if you look very carefully, it's a lot of Beast Wars 2nd, Beast Wars Neo characters done in that chibi style. So it's pretty cool stuff. I'm going to jump all the way now to, in my opinion, the most jam-packed of it is now the actual staff credit roll. And Sakamoto wrote this manga as if this was like the last episode of an anime, where usually the last episodes of an anime, in order to take advantage of the 21 minutes of storytelling that are given to them, they usually do an epilogue in the staff credit roll instead of just a normal outro. So we get the staff credit roll and they show, well, what's up? What's everyone up to now since this is all ended? And this jumps to every single different continuity, which is pretty cool. So the first thing we see, what says here, staff Joshua Perez, good old Josh, who colored all of this stuff, friend of the podcast, been on the show a few times. We see what is supposed to be the Generation 2 beginning, which is Optimus and Megatron together with the Autobot Decepticons logo merged into one to create the Cybertronian Alliance. In the background, we see a whole bunch of Siege toys. I like that we also, you have Slash there, which is one of the female Dinobot Velociraptor. We haven't really seen her much in any kind of fiction. I like that we have both of the laser cycles in Road Pig and Road Rocket, which had a very kind of, Nightbird kind of looking face. And there's Nightbird, hanging out with them. So they're all ninjas. Pretty cool. I like that little nod there. Same thing. We have all the Siege toys. We have some Titans Return toys. We got Rosanna there. Or is it Flip? It probably looks more like Flipside than Rosanna. It's actually probably Flipside. Flipside in front of Blaster. We got Sundor with actually, you know what? I take it back. It probably is Rosanna because you have Sundor, you have Glit, which is the White Ravage, and so that's probably Rosanna. Okay, so they're going with the Kiss Play ones. You also have even Ibramusu from Transformers Zones, again, during a celebration ceremony, bringing the little flowers and everything for anyone saw the end of Transformers Zone, the anime. Really cool scene. Again, an important part of Transformers history. That was the beginning of the Generation 2 story in that timeline. We jump to the next panel, and with Hot Rod. Now, this is on Earth, and so this is obviously way, way in the future of Earth. You have now everyone's much older. You have Atari, who's older there, with her little Gaia Project banner on her arm there. You have now Moon and Artemis, who are a little, more programmed and older. You got Xiao Xiao, who's now a little older. She's now an old lady, still looking good, though, with her partner for life, Hot Rod. Everything's awesome there. And then off on the right, you have Marissa Fairborn and her daughter, Sue, so continuing the legacy there of the EDC, excuse me. The next panel it seems like it's probably a continuation of the celebration from Beast Machines, where we got all the Beast Machines characters together. Everybody's happy. You even show that both of Obsidian and Strika they survived. You have the moss-covered or Cybertronian organic covered Mega Head in the background there. Everyone's happy. There's Botanica. Rat Trap now has his old body based off of probably his Transformer Legends, aka Transformers Generations toy, so he doesn't have that body. And even Rhinox is okay. Again, based probably off of his Transformer Legends / Generations toy. So everyone's back and happy, and even Waspinator is finally okay too. Another one here in the final panel of this page is it shows that Breakdown is okay, basing him off of his toy from his Combiner toy that he had a while back. So he's fine. And what's cool about this in the background is you have Knockout showing him the schematics for his Apex armor, which was a toy that was available for the Transformers Prime line. It was like this big armor that you could put him in, and it came with a green repaint of Breakdown. And then if you look in the background, you actually have, we know it as in America as Crockout or the Beast Hunters Knockout, but this is actually the repaint that was used for Transformers Adventure, which is called Bloody Knockout. So you have like the pieces for essentially his Beast Hunters version that was repainted in the background. So they're reunited and together again, that pairing. We go to the next page and we have animated. And again, this is kind of like a sequel, if you will, to animated, specifically, let's say the BotCon comic from 2011. So we have like, Blur, face to face with Shockwave, who was the guy who tried to take him out the first time. So he's okay. We have Siren, Nightbeat, and Hosehead. So they're there also. Again, kind of based off of the Blur book that we got from BotCon 2. So those characters are there. You have all the Decepticons that are like, obviously they're captured. And then you see on the side there, you have Slipstream, a clearly revived, yet again, Starscream, and Swindle, Slipstream's Inner Transformer Legends toy design this time around, again, throwing back to that. So it looks like they're trying to bust out Megatron and the crew to continue the Transformers animated story. The next panel is Transformers Car Robots, and this is really cool because this is kind of also a little bit of a throwback to Gal Geiger and stuff like that, and the combining arm pieces. So now we have the mighty Devil God Fire Convoy, Devil God, all in one. So now the hand mode for Devil Gigatron, aka known as Galvatron or the Megatron in Robots in Disguise, they show him combined with Fire Convoy, also known as God Fire Convoy here. And if you look in the background, you could see like, oh, hey, there's you have Skids in the background there. But what's funny about that is they show Skids in the background, but it's the Generation Skids. But maybe it's probably a nod to Skid Z, aka what was known as Indie Heat, which was the Formula One in car robots, aka Robots in Disguise. You have what looks like JRX is in the background. You could see Super Speedbreaker, aka Sideburn, is like a red blot pretty much in the bottom right there. You got Wild Ride, aka X-Brawn in his super mode. And of course you see Brave Maximus, also known as Fortress Maximus. The next panel is also kind of in that continuity. We just have a continuation of modern toys in that of Valdegus, also known as Robots in Disguise, Car Robots, Bruticus. We got Black Convoy, aka Scourge, and Evil Eye. And then the final panel here, we have Alexis looking into the sun, remembering Super Starscream, aka Starscream, aka the Thundercracker toy, although it was Starscream, from Armada. And kind of sad how that story never really had a true resolution. We go to the next page, and now we got a whole bunch of Beast stuff. So we got Lio Jr. and Lio Convoy saying goodbye to Big Convoy, going into the Nexus beam, and then the next one is kind of a recreation of the ending of Beast Wars Neo. Spoiler: the graduation ceremony, just done again in that Legend style because they're Beast characters. And then this last little part that's kind of cool is we have all the Legends characters again together, all the Beast characters together. We get to now see for the first time Transmutate and the likes of Depth Charge, and then who knocks at the door but Depth Charge's gun. Now here's the thing, Depth Charge's gun has always been this weird kind of thing in Transformers Beast Wars continuity, in that for the longest time the fans used to assume that the gun was Cyber Shark and it had its own sentience, and then when the Japanese kind of ran with it, they gave it his own kind of personality and stuff with the weird dubbing, and his name was Remora Shark, and it actually had his own voice and stuff. Again, it was just a drone, a nuclear shark drone, I believe it was called, in the Beast Wars cartoon. But in the dub in Japan, he actually had his own personality and stuff. So he shows up, and he's now welcomed to be part of the crew now. So yay, Remoa Shark, a.k.a. Depth Charge's gun, has a little more characterization. You can see he has his two little dots on his nose there, which is supposed to represent where the missiles went in the toy. And the very last scene, which is taken straight out of Operation Combination and using some of the storyline that was established by my buddy Hydra, Andrew Hall. We have Assault Master, who inside him, he's possessed by the Grand Regency Scrath or whatever you want to call him. And he's possessed by him, and he was brought in by Magnificus, and they bring in Skyquake, and Skyquake gets possessed by him, and so begins the whole Operation Combination story. But who shows up? And that's, again, Operation Combination was the bridge to Generation 2. So who shows up but the Cybertron alliance of the two leaders of Optimus and Megatron to stop him. And thus, the end, or as we always say with Simon Furman, it never ends. So, really good conclusion. This is awesome. This is such a great little manga that not only fills the gaps with every single walk of life of continuity, but just gives a little something for everybody, regardless of what kind of Transformer fan you are. I think the only thing that's really left out is the movieverse, unless we count going to see the Bumblebee movie and everyone enjoying it. But, I mean, everything else gets tons of love, and it's just great stuff and a lot of cool stuff. And I really, really hope, I know this is like the end for now, but I really hope to see Sakamoto in the future doing more of this stuff, because he's such a blessing to the Transformers fandom and giving more stuff and throwing more stuff back to the old continuities. And it all looks great. And let's hope that we get more. But this is awesome. Look online. You could easily find it. There's tons of scans on it. Unfortunately, it's not translated. That's why I kind of did this, as a way to give people like a kind of an input into what's going on all these pages and all the little Easter eggs and everything. But this is really cool, and I really hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you want to show your love, go on Twitter and let Sakamoto know that he did a great job.